Hello guys, welcome back. So today we will learn the MySQL second module. In this module, we will learn how to install a tool to connect to MySQL database and the simple SQL operations. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so before starting, let's review what we have learned in the module 1. What is SQL? SQL stands for the structured query language. It's a query language to connect with the database, right? To communicate with the databases. And SQL is a standard language for the relational database only. Okay. And it is used to fetch the data, update the data, managing the data, basically for the CRUD operation, right? Create, delete, update. Okay. Okay. Before starting with the select statements, let's continue with let me show you the installation part. Okay. And the simple basic operations. Okay, guys. So here I am using PHP in my system. Okay. So there are different tools where you can connect with MySQL database, such as SQL Server or Workbench is there. I'm using my PHP so you can simply Google it and download, and it has a very simple installation. Okay, you just need to click and then install. After installation, you will come here. Okay, if this is the URL to fetch the local PHP MySQL. So you have to type localhost slash phpMyAdmin and it will automatically open this. Okay, maybe if you have set the password, then it will come to the password screen. Let me show you that as well. When you hit this, it will open the MySQL panel. Okay, okay, let's get back to the PPT. Okay, so as we discussed, right, we have to first create a database in my phpMyAdmin. So once you created a database, we can create tables inside that database. Okay. So here is the syntax to create a database. The syntax is create database is a keyword, and then you have to type the database name. Right. For an example, we have written create database school. School is a database. Okay. Why we need a database? Why can't we create a tables directly? Right. So the thing is, we are creating databases to put it all the sorted kind of tables into one database only. Let's suppose there is a we have to create a database for school. So we are creating a database name as school and all the school records like teachers, students, admin staff, everything we are maintaining in the different tables, right? That's why we are putting each and every related tables into a single database. Or in a technical term, we can say database is a container for all the tables and other objects, right? Other objects meaning the relationships, how both tables or multiple tables are connected with each other. What's their relationship, how they are interdependent on that. All that information we are storing into the database only. Got it? Okay, let's do the implementation now. Okay, so guys, this is the interface. So this is the GUI interface, right? So you can create any database and tables with the help of a click only, and you can also type the SQL queries. Let me show you both the sides, right? Okay, I'm clicking on this database. Let me show you the annotation. I'm clicking on this database tab, right? Here I'm typing a database name. Let's say suppose I'm creating employee. Okay, then click on create. So here you can see on the left hand side, a employee database is created. Similarly, I have created a database named as students. So this database is empty. There is no table in this database, right? Similar way, we can create a database using SQL query. So for the SQL query, you can type here. We can do this with the create command, create database and database name. Let's suppose database name we can set up as exams. Okay. After writing this query is a standard to end a SQL query with a semicolon. Okay. If you do not put a semicolon, even then it works, but it's a good approach to end it with a semicolon. Okay, and click on this go button. See, the query is executed successfully, and the new exams database is created now. Here, it is empty because it doesn't have any tables as of now inside it. Okay. So once we have created a database, our next step is to create tables. Okay. But before creating tables, it is mandatory to know about the basics of creating a table, right? Because in table, we have to create columns as well, and we need to define the data type of the table as well. So we have to learn the data types in MySQL before creating a table. So in database, we have to create multiple type of database data tables, right? So in that we have a different type of data. Let's suppose if we created a student table, right? The student roll number or an ID, it is integer, right? And the name, it is string, right? And similarly, if we have storing some salary, it could be in float, right? If we are saving any date and time, then the data type should be different, right? And other type of variables as well, like if you have to create if the student is passed or failed, right? We have to save true or false only. We are not adding anything else. So for that, there's a different set of data types. Okay, let's start it. Okay, the first one is numeric types. Okay, so this is for the integer values or the floating values. Okay, all the numeric numbers come into this category. Got it? Okay, so for numeric data types, there are multiple data types which are available: int, float, double, decimal. Okay, so all are for integers only, but it varies the difference in the usability. Okay, like int is for the normal integer, like you have to save 2, 3, 4, like on the whole numbers only. Float is for the floating point numbers, right? If you have to store any decimal data like 2.5, 2.3, like this way. Okay. And double is for the double precision. Okay. If you have to store a large decimal points. Okay. Got that. And similarly with the decimal, it is used for the large decimal numbers, but we have a unlimited range, right? The next is the date and time types. Okay. Date is a data type that is used for the date keywords, like you have created a student table, right? And when exactly you created that student, for that we have to store the value in the date function only. It will also have a date plus the time. Okay, so for this there is date time. Okay, then is a timestamp. Timestamp is basically it will get the exact timestamp of that continent. If you are in Asia, it will get a timestamp on that basis. You don't need to pass anything in this. Okay, similarly the time is there. For the string types like name or description, anything where we have to store alphanumeric data, then we use the string types. Okay. So char is for characters where the string is limited and small in size. Varchar is for long strings. Text is for the unlimited strings, and blob is for the binary files. Okay. We can store the large binary files. And the last one is Boolean type. Boolean is basically where we have to store true, false, yes, no, this kind of data. Okay. So true, false, we can store, or we can store 1 and 0. 1 is for true and 0 is for false. Got it? Let's move further. So this we have created a database. Now you have created a database and you have multiple databases in your local system or your server. Then you have to choose, like, this is a database now you have to use, and you have to create the tables inside the database. So for that there is a command use database. Like we have created exam, so we can use exam. Then it will tell the MySQL server that, okay, the user wants to do some operations or to create some tables in this particular database only. Okay. Okay. This is the syntax to create table. Okay. Create table, table name, column one, column two with data types. So this is what we have created a database, and now we have to create tables. One database can have multiple tables inside it. Okay. So to create a table, we have to define a table name and the columns with their data types. Okay. That we have to figure out what exactly the data table is, what are the data types we needed for that, and what is the length of that data types as well. Let's suppose you have created a name field, okay, and it has a value. Let's suppose varchar 50 it is written, but we do not have 50 letter name, right? So it is a best approach to use a limited size of the bytes so that we do not waste the memory, right? Okay, so let's start it with the demonstration. Okay, let's create a table. Okay, so I am into the MySQL admin again. So let's create a table. So the syntax is create table, table name. Let's suppose I am creating subject. My table name is subject. Okay, in this I am creating fields, which is ID. I'm creating that is int. I'm storing 4. Okay, because the ID is not larger, it is only 2 to 3 letters only. That's why I'm opting the 4 as in length. Then name. Name is a string, so I am opting a data type as varchar. So name could be 20 letters, maximum 30 letters. So I'm putting the length of the column field is 30. Okay. Let's suppose any other thing we need to describe. We are adding as a description. Okay. I'm also adding it as a varchar. Let's suppose this could be 60. Okay. Then we have to close this and semicolon. I'm copying this so that we don't need to. So do you think this will work? Let's see. I have just written down the query to create a table and I'm clicking on this go function. Okay. I'm clicking. This is the query I have written and this is the go button where we have to click. Got it? When I click on go, okay, it is showing me error. Why? Why it is showing error? And what is the error message? So the error is it is showing no database selected, right? This is error it is showing 1046 no database selected. It meaning we are creating a table, but we are not telling the MySQL server where exactly we have to create it. So before doing this, we have to select a database, and the command for that is use then the table name, that is exams or employee or student, whatever we can use. Okay. So see here the importance of this semicolon. Okay. Let's suppose I am executing 2 queries simultaneously. Use exams. Okay. If I'm not putting semicolon and when I click on go, it will show me a syntax error, right? That's why we have to use semicolon to differentiate two different queries. If I'm executing a single query, then it will not give an error. Okay. So what I'm doing now, I'm just telling the MySQL server that you have to use this database. Okay. And in this database, you have to create this table. Got it? I'm clicking on go. Okay. The output is success. Okay. Now we can see exams. And in this exam, we have created a table subject. Okay. So this table is empty, right? It doesn't have any data. So we have to put records to update the table. Okay. So in MySQL server, there are two options. We can create a table from SQL or with the GUI interface, or we can insert the data as well. Like here is the insert tab. You can insert value, this ID, name, description, then go. It will automatically insert a record into the table. Let's create English, English, English is a global language. Go. Okay. It will automatically create a row in this table subject. Okay. But this approach is not recommended, right? For the techies, we do not allow, or it's not a standard to use a GUI interface for these kind, because it's quite slow. Okay. So most of the time we use SQL queries only to insert data, to retrieve data, to delete, or for IB operations. Okay. Okay. So till now we have learned to create a database, to create a table, and what are the different data types in table. Okay. Let's move further. So the next step is drop, right? Dropping is a very important or a vital, I can say vital step in the database management, because if you are creating something, if it's mandatory to delete it as well to for the proper utilization of the memory. Okay. So if you have created a database, right? If it's a permanent database, you need it further, then it's okay to maintain it for the long time. But if you are creating any database for the temporary basis, then it is a step we have to follow to delete it as well while the implementation only. Got it? Okay, so to drop a database, command is drop database, then the name of the database. In a similar way, we have to drop a table, drop table, table name, then it will automatically drop the table. Okay. Yes, we have to be careful because drop will permanently delete the table and its records, right? So we have to be careful. If we feel like we need we need the database in future or for a backup purpose, then it's mandatory to have a backup first, then you can go for a drop command. Okay. So here in a SQL query, I'm dropping a table. Drop table subject. Got it? I'm clicking on go. So there is a pop-up message. Okay. It will ask, do you really want to drop the table subject? If we say okay, it will automatically delete it. Okay. So you can see in the exams database, there is no database. There is no table in this. Okay. And if we want to delete the exams database as well, then we have to, sorry. Okay. Drop database exams. Go. It will delete the database as well. Got it? Okay. So till now we have learned the dropping of database, creating of database, dropping of table, creating of table, and data types, right? So in the third module, we will learn the DML statements, right? The data manipulation, how we can insert a record, how we can fetch a record, how we can update a record, how we can delete a record, and what's the difference between delete and drop. To learn further, stay tuned. Thank you.